Obviously, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. This will be our third recruiting class, and I am somewhat partial to this group just because there's so many linemen that play on the line of scrimmage. Being a former lineman myself, those guys kind of have a special place with me because they're kind of the unsung heroes, and you get a chance to look at them as a group. They have great size, and you know, they have a chance to make a big difference in our program. But first and foremost, I think you need to thank the appropriate people, and our success in recruiting goes back to what we have here at Youngstown State. Goes back to this community, and it's amazing that, you know, we're able to have our president, Dr. Anderson, with us on Saturday afternoons, in the morning, and then again at lunch, and then all the faculty and deans that join us for our academic breakfast. That makes a difference in your recruiting weekend. It also makes a difference, and they're a big part of what we do, because it makes a difference to the kids, it makes a difference to the parents. I had a conversation last night with a kid late last night, and he said, you know, Coach, I just think it's really neat that I was able to sit with the president for breakfast and have a conversation, and I don't think that I really appreciated that until I had left your campus, because that's never been done with me before. So I think it starts with obviously our president and our university, what we have to offer. I think Ron Strollo has done an unbelievable job of giving us the finest facilities to compete really with anyone as far as recruiting goes. And you know, he's another guy that's a big part of what we're doing here. And then I think you got to look at our coaches. We have a great coaching staff. I think their wives need to be thanked. You know, I can tell you this, in the month of December and January, I spent more days away than I did at home. And I think there's a lot of sacrifices that take place with a wife and kids. You know, a typical day is 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. If you're lucky enough to come home. And that's what this time period is all about as far as the recruiting goes. And I think it shows up when you look at our class. I can't sit here and make up plays for those guys. You guys have been around long enough. You guys know good football players when you see them. And you sit there and you look at that tape of what we have there. It's really overwhelming as I sit there and look at it, and I'm like, wow, we really nailed it. And I think with this recruiting class, this really gives us a chance to strike at a championship. And that's what the standard is here. That's what these kids have come here to do. They've come here to get a quality education. They've come here to learn life lessons and grow as a person. They've come here to be surrounded by the right type of coaches that are going to help mold them into men. A lot of young men fail between 18 and 21, and our job as coaches is to not just teach them about football, teach them about the life lessons and the things that you need to do to be successful in life. But obviously you can see that we're successful in a lot of states. You know, we were able to get 7 players out of Pennsylvania, which is an area that I consider home as far as being close. Western Pennsylvania is right across the border. It's an area that we've done well. A lot of the kids from over there get a chance to come to our camps, so that obviously gives us an opportunity to get them here early. You look at the state of Florida. As you guys know, I'd spent a bunch of time in Florida recruiting in the past, and we were able to tap into some of those areas that I had a chance to recruit in the past, as far as getting back down into Miami, getting back down into Fort Lauderdale, and then working the Tampa area where I was in South Florida. So those were areas that we got back to, and you know, it's kind of come full circle, because a guy like Joe Morgan at American High School calls me, and he was one of my first recruits that I signed at South Florida. Now he's coaching, and you know, he calls me about David Rivers. You guys saw David Rivers on the film. He's a very good football player, and Joe's put his name on him, and we did all our background checks and those kind of things, so we know that he's a good football player. Then you got Ice Harris over at Booker T. Washington. You got Corey Bell at American. You know, you got Eric Hickson in Fort Lauderdale. There's just so many people out there. Mario Smith at Miami Pace. All these guys that you have personal relationships with, and that's what you need. We have got to be able to recruit nationwide. We've got to be able to go to California and get a couple good players that other people have missed on, or they weren't able to find. or they were concerned about going into certain areas. Whatever the case may be, those are things that we're going to have to continue to do. In Ohio, we were able to nail 5 players there. Obviously, we feel good about that group. And then we went to Michigan to get 1 in Indiana. So overall, we felt like we were able to get into the areas we needed. If we feel like there's we just continue to watch tape. And wherever the best player's from, that's where we got to go. We just try to continue to use where our resources are, where we have connections, those type of things. But in alphabetical order, Matt Bell's a kid from Hickory, Pennsylvania that we signed. You guys can see that he has good size. He was a guy that was in our camp. He was in our camp as a sophomore. He was outstanding. He's also a great track athlete, so I'm sure he'll be talking to me about wanting to do a shot and throwing a discus in the spring. But we're excited about him, and he's one of our first commitments that we landed there. Julius Childs is a kid that we went and got out of California. He's from right there in Los Angeles, and Julius is a guy who will have 3 years to play with us. He's a cornerback. He's enrolled right now currently in school, and he's off to a good start, and all indications are from other team members on the team is that it looks like he has a bright future. So that's a good situation there. Kayvon Caffey is a kid from Miami, Florida. His coach, Ice Harris, used to coach at the University of Miami. Prior to that, I struck up a relationship with him back in 1996 when he was at Miami High. And he had a guy named Cedric Irvin that ended up going to Michigan State. But he's a guy that I've got to know. Kayvon, he plays at a high level. He plays in one of the best areas of Dade County, right there as far as high school football. So we're excited about having him here. Jamar Clark's a receiver that was here for camp in the spring. Jamar's from McKeesport. He's one of 3 guys that we signed from there. And Jamar's the kind of guy that I think in 2 years, as he continues to develop, especially physically, he can be a special player for us. Chris Charles is a guy that we enrolled here at mid-semester. Chris will be here in the spring. All indications are is that he'll be a good boundary safety for us. We went out to Iowa, several trips there in December to see him. He's originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and one of his coaches in high school was a teammate of mine from Kansas State. So we're excited about having Chris here. Dylan Colucci is a kid from Latrobe. Made a bunch of trips over there with Coach Priscilla to Latrobe. Latrobe is a very unique town, and I enjoyed all my trips there. Dylan's a guy that was in camp, and he's a very big offensive lineman. I went and watched him wrestle on 2 different occasions, and I think that he's a guy that after a good redshirt year, and we have all those senior offensive linemen move along, I would expect him to be a guy that's going to give us an opportunity to continue to have success here. Brandon Davis. Brandon is a big defensive tackle that you saw. He was originally at the College DuPage, and now he's at Joliet, as you guys are aware of, in Illinois. They've dropped the junior college programs after this past season. He'll be here in the summer. He's a big guy. He will be one of those guys that you can play inside, that you should not be able to run the ball behind him. And he's a big enough guy and a wide enough guy that if you're a linebacker, you like to have a guy that can eat up 2 blocks so you can run and make plays. So that's probably Tevin's favorite recruit right there that we signed. Twin Fernandez is a guy that we got from California, a teammate of Julius Childs. He was actually the unanimous player of the year in that conference out there in LA for junior college football. And you guys can see that there in his write-up. He's got a ton of accolades. Unique thing is his mom is the women's track coach at USC, and his dad is the head football coach there at Compton College. So we're excited about having him. He will be here for spring ball also. Brock Eisenhuth is from Johnstown. Made a bunch of trips over that hill from Latrobe to Johnstown, and I always tease Carter about making that trip over the hill, because when he's driving, you always wonder if you're going to make it there safe and sound. But he, Brock is a blue-collar, work ethic guy, grinder. You guys saw him on film. Everybody he touches, he drives them into the ground. And, he's another guy that I expect in 1 year after we redshirt him to be ready to step in and potentially challenge for one of those jobs after this senior class gets ready to graduate next year. Jordan Feaser's a tight end. Went and watched him play basketball. Very talented kid, plays tight end, plays defensive end. And, I don't know what he's going to grow into. He's untapped, doesn't have hardly any hair on his body other than his head. So I think he's a guy that's going to grow into a big football player. He'll be a big tight end, and if he eats too much pizza, he could be a lineman, but realistically, we want to keep him at tight end for a good period of time there. Dana Harris is an offensive lineman we signed out of Grand Rapids Community College. You guys know that we had a Rondé Stanton from there last year. Rondé Stanton has come in here and done very well. Done well academically, done well as a person, done well as a leader. And Rondé told me, he said, Coach, Dana can play. Dana might be our best lineman. So he set the bar very high for Dana, and Dana will have 2 years with us to play. So we're excited about having him in here, and he has a high standard to live up to. Terry Johnson's a guy that we had signed the previous year, which you guys are aware of. What happens is if you don't academically qualify, you have a couple different options that you can choose. And Terry chose to continue to sit out and take another class. You know, a lot of times you think that you're on track and someone tells you that you're a class short. So what happens is he's here now, he's in school, we're excited about having him. Anytime you're St. Petersburg Times County Player of the Year, that's usually a good sign. So we're excited about having Terry at linebacker. David Rivers is the kid I told you about from American Senior High School, and he'll be a safety for us. He can play the middle of the field safety and boundary. I'm not so sure when he starts eating 3 meals a day on a consistent basis, gets in the weight room program, that he couldn't develop into a linebacker down the road. That's probably a 2 or 3 year situation. But he'll start out there at safety, and I think he'll perform at a high level. Jamil Smith is the kid that we signed from Norland. That's an area right there in North Miami. And Jamil's a guy that is a true middle of the field safety. He's got a maturity level to him, a seriousness that I wouldn't be surprised if he came in and had an opportunity to help us immediately as far as playing special teams and being a nice solid backup at one of the safety positions there. Shavion Nolcox is a guy that we got out of St. Joe's right there in Cleveland. As you guys can see, 6'5", 210. He could easily grow into a defensive end, but we'll start him out at the Sam linebacker position. And we like a nice big rangy guy out there that can run. He's a great student. He's interested in engineering. You guys know that we have a great engineering program here at YSU, and that was probably a big selling point as far as getting Shavion here. Anthony Zimzak, you know, we call him Zim Zam. He was in camp. Zim Zam and you know, Brandon Davis. Those are two guys that you can put inside, and you should not be able to run the ball between the tackles. We want some mass in there, and you know, Zim Zam is a guy that in camp we just basically had to tell him he was done for the day because I had a concern that we were going to possibly get some other players hurt because we didn't have pads on, but he was being real aggressive, so we had to calm him down. But he's got a chance to be a good football player. Jim Ward, head coach at McKeesport High School, told me that he single-handedly cost them the game because they couldn't block him. And he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's right there in Erie, which you guys know is another local area. Byron Pringle is a guy we signed from Tampa, Florida. He's a guy that I've thoroughly researched. I know that sometimes there may be concerns, but we've thoroughly researched him, and I think Byron's a classic example of a guy being in the wrong place, wrong time. You know, I don't think we're all here to pass judgment. I think everyone deserves a second chance. I think as we're all in the higher education business, we have an opportunity to give a kid a chance because a lot of us don't really know the real situation. And I think it also speaks volumes about what his family and his coaches think of our university. It speaks volumes about the people here in Youngstown, our community, our school, and our coaching staff and the support system that we have in place to have their son have an opportunity to go to school. Just like all players on this list have things they need to do. Some have to pass English 4. Some have things that they need to do before they enroll here at YSU. That's the case, and I believe that people deserve a second chance. And I personally know him, and I'm excited about him being here. And that also, I think, tells you a little bit about the strength that I feel like we have here in this program as far as coaches. I know that this community is going to embrace them in the right way. I know that the media is going to embrace them in the right way, and I expect that to happen. So we're excited about having Byron. He's probably the top 5 player in the state of Florida. Austin Turkovich, obviously a Cardinal Mooney guy, and Austin is a guy that probably, I don't want to slam him because it might be a put down, but he's the guy that probably most reminds me of myself. He's a lot better player than I was, a lot better athlete, but Turk is a model football player. He's a hard worker, loves to lift weights. He's passionate about the game of football. He actually played 5 games with a partial tear in his labrum at Mooney. Won a state championship. He understands what it means to win. He had opportunities to go to the big old state of Texas, and he wanted to stay here. And he wants to be a part of something special. I've said this before. There's a lot of places you can go to school, you know, but there's a significant difference in the environment that we have here at YSU. On game day, we have a legitimate college environment. We don't have 500 people tailgating. You know what I mean? We have 15,000. And this is a real college environment. You have an opportunity to win a national championship. And that's why he chose to come here. I expect him to be an impact player early in his career. Mac Whiteman's a guy that we also had in camp. Mac's from Avon. And Mac's a guy that will play at the center position there. And he'll challenge for that position after we redshirt him 1 year. He'll be looked as a possible replacement there to Mark Pratt. Tremendous work ethic, tremendous passion for the game of football, and is excited to be here. And that's another good get from the Cleveland area there. Nick Wargo's a guy that Coach Montgomery had in his quarterback camp over the summer. And Nick's a guy that played behind a guy, to give you a little bit of an idea, just a little bit about him, is he didn't start until his senior year. You know, the kid that started in front of him went to Michigan State, so obviously a pretty good player. But he wasn't one of those guys that was impatient or said, I'm not playing as a sophomore, I got to transfer. He knew that his opportunity would come. And you guys know that we have a quarterback that's only going to be a junior next year. He's not a selfish guy, he's not an I guy, he's a team player. And we feel like Nick is a guy that when obviously Kurt goes on, will have a chance to compete for the job. If Shane Montgomery tells me the guy can throw, the guy can throw. And after him being in our camp this summer, we had a ton of quarterbacks here. We felt really good about him. We just wanted to see one football game. So we went and watched him actually perform in a game, because everything we had done up until that point was scrimmages or practices or camps. After seeing him playing the game, it was a no-brainer. And a couple weeks later, he jumped on board. So we really feel like we hit a home run with Nick Wargo. He does have a pet pig in his house, so you guys know. So it's kind of a unique thing. You feed him carrots and lettuce. So I told him you can't bring that to campus unless you get permission from Dr. Anderson. So Terrell Williams is from McKeesport. He's a defensive end. This guy, he'll turn 18, I think, in April, and the sky's the limit. I asked him one day, I said, Terrell, what'd you eat for breakfast today? He said, I had grape soda. I said, Terrell, what'd you eat for lunch? Same day. Terrell, what'd you eat for lunch? 2 sticky buns. So this guy weighed in at 246 when we had him here on campus, 17 years old, and we really have high expectations for him. We're excited about having him. Another player from McKeesport area is Christian Wilson. He's a 6'6", 320 pounds. Christian, that's a very generous weight for you there if you're watching this. As you know, if we get this guy in shape, he's another redshirt candidate, and then be ready to play. And that's what we expect to have happen. But Coach Ward down there at McKeesport has been good to our program. And then Michael Weary, you guys watch Michael, kind of deja vu of Christian Bryant. And that's the kind of kid he is. Those two were on the same recruiting weekend together, spent a lot of time together, and they could pass as twins. So that kind of rounds out our recruiting class for 2012. And I think the future looks bright. We're excited about starting spring ball. Our spring ball will start on March 21st, so you guys have an idea. That'll be a Wednesday, and we're going to have the spring game on April 13th there on Friday evening. If the weather, I don't want to get into a situation like we did last year. Dr. Mincy gets upset if it's raining on the spring game. So if it looks like we're going to have favorable weather, we'll open the tailgates at 4, have a ball game at 7. If the weather looks like it's going to be inconvenient, then Coach Love has said we'll go at 12:05 there on Saturday afternoon. So hopefully we can get some good weather in to have a good crowd and good turnout. But our football team is working hard. I think you guys can see that the future looks bright. We're excited about the direction of our program. We're excited about our kids, what they're doing academically, and hopefully we can continue to press forward and work for a championship. We have the talent here, and we feel like we are in striking distance to make a run. Any questions?
Coach, looks like a lot of defensive players. Was that a priority going in?
Well, the thing is a lot of your defensive players play on special teams. And we felt like a couple of our special teams probably need to play better, and we need more defensive players available to play on those teams. So boundary safety was a concern, that we had to get some more depth at that position. And then Julius Childs will give us some competition there at corner. And then obviously defensive line. You know, I'm a believer in the game starts up front. It all starts up front. And you got to have an offensive line that can keep the quarterback clean and control the line of scrimmage. The same thing with the defensive line. The better your defensive line is, the easier you can make it on your linebackers and safeties and corners, and less chances you have to take.
Coach, you talked a lot in the regular season about the type of size that the people at North Dakota State and South Dakota State, a lot of the people who played in the league had. This recruiting class pointed directly at closing that gap?
No question. That's where we're going. North Dakota State, obviously they won the national championship. They've done some good things. And, you know, that's not a startup program. It's a program that won a bunch of Division II national championships. Any of you guys that have been out there, there's an oil boom or whatever you want to call it, and they're continuing to gear up, and they're probably going to be set to reload. They've got a lot of players back, and as you guys know by schedule, we'll be going out there again. But you know, they're definitely one of the bigger teams in the league, and you know, if you want to make a run at winning a championship, you got to be in the ball game. You know, like I said before, you're not going to win a Daytona 500 driving a tractor. You better be in the game. This group's going to give us that, and we expect Mike Cochran to continue to develop our players physically, so we can have an opportunity to play at a high level on come game day.
Coach, I remember 2 years ago you were talking about getting character guys, and maybe then once you build your program, of taking maybe a guy that's a risk. Is Byron Pringle a guy maybe that you feel like you can do that now that you couldn't have done a couple years ago?
You know, I think our program, obviously, we've been able to do the right things. We've been able to perform well academically. We've made constant progress on the football field with doubling our wins. And Byron Pringle deserves a second chance. And I know the facts. I've spoke to everybody that was involved from day one. And to every person that I spoke with and my staff members spoke with, from everyone that was involved, said that this kid is a classic example of being in the wrong place, wrong time. You know, and you hear it all the time, and Byron's the kind of kid that he'll come here and he'll teach a lot of our other young people in life that you deserve a second chance. But on top of that, is he'll teach a lot of young people that before you go jump in a car, you might not know where that car's been. You might not know who's in that car. You might not know what's in that car. Just like if you jump in if you're downtown here at Club 36 and you ask someone for a ride home, you jump in the car, how do you know what that passenger has in his pocket? Guess what? You're all in trouble. See what I'm saying? That's the way it happens. Sometimes those things happen, and you got to pay, and hopefully someone gives you an opportunity.
Coach, 2 years now into the coaching process here. Is it easier to have a plan recruiting, or can you target better, that you've been here 2 years?
A plan as far as what areas,
Yeah, what you wanna
what areas of the
address.
country?
Yeah,
Or
just
as
in
far as
general,
just
just as
match up
far as
with
recruiting.
talent-wise in the league?
Yeah.
I've come to realize that you're going to have to recruit across the country because of this. Ohio is over-recruited, meaning everybody, Mark Porter at Scouting Ohio does a great job. And what happens is there's tons of people in here in Ohio recruiting. So for example, there could be a lot of people that get offered scholarships here in the state of Ohio from schools that are MAC level schools that we don't offer. And we're going to recruit to our standard, and our standard is to win a championship here. And if you're going to continually try to beat North Dakota State and Northern Iowa, who have fared very well against Big Ten teams and Big 12 teams, you better be recruiting a high level player, and you may have to go reach out to some of your resources in other areas of the country where you have people that you can confide in and trust, and then go by what you see on film. If you took a bunch of those players and put them in a different state, they could potentially be Gatorade Players of the Year. But the thing is they're in such saturated areas or hidden areas or hard to get to areas that you don't know. You don't know about them. So that's a classic case of just being able to get out and recruit. Fortunately, Ron Sherlock gives us the resources to get out and recruit nationwide.
Is that a change though from maybe the first year when you said you wanted to put a fence up around?
I wanted to, I think my first year, obviously being hired on December 15th, I spent a lot of time hiring the staff. So I didn't have an opportunity to get out probably as much as I would have liked to. But I think after the first year, if you look at last year, I was in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, all over the place. So that was more of just probably a convenience thing. But I think you need to be able to do that. But, I think from year to year it changes, it fluctuates. I mean, how many guys are there that are bona fide Division I players? I mean, we're a Division I school. And if we're going to win it, we need to recruit Division I players.
Eric, with that being said, with all due respect, is the talent just not here locally?
I think it fluctuates. When I came out of high school, we had 9 Division I players at Ursuline. I think 9 of us signed Division I. Was there 9 Division I players this year signed in Youngstown? Probably close.
Yeah.
8 or 9 numbers.
Yeah, so that means it's close. But then, then you had a bunch of guys from Mooney. You had Jamie Mendez over there at Mooney, and then you had Marucci over there at Boardman, and you had Schaefer. I mean, there was guys. The population is not. We don't have the same population that we used to have. Now we're getting ready to make a comeback, but right now we just don't have the population to pull from. But I consider Western Pennsylvania a close enough area within our reach right there that we can work, and I also worked in Cleveland area. But you got to take the best player. If he's in Miami, or if he's in Cleveland, 10 guys are going to sit down and watch the film. Who's the better player? Who's the better kid? Who has better character? Who does the right things? Who's got better grades? Who's going to help us win a championship?
I know classes are graded on after they play. Where do you grade this class at on paper right now? How many of these players do you think can step right in and not have an impact but see considerable playing time?
I don't think as many will, because a lot of them are linemen. I'm hoping that the whole offensive line class could be a potential redshirt class, being the fact that we have 4 seniors next year on our offensive line, planning for the future. We had a serious deficit that we inherited on the offensive line, so we've been trying to work through that for the last 2 to 3 years, getting that squared away. And the development of these guys next year, while they redshirt, between now and then, will be crucial for our program. And then defensive line-wise, I think a couple guys can play. It's going to be a matter of what kind of shape they can get in the summer. Can they get themselves ready to go? They got the size and the mass. Can they play 20, 25 plays? Potentially. And all the mid-year guys will have a chance to play. But I wouldn't say probably as many as last year. Last year we had such an influx of talent. numbers-wise, and a lot of those guys ended up playing. You know, we had 3 freshman linebackers starting, 2 freshman corners starting, we had 3 corners get hurt at the beginning of the year, so I feel like, you know, Christian Bryan came in and played. I think we have much more depth now, that it's not going to be as easy to come in and start.
Eric, just because you're third recruiting class, you feel that this is your team now in terms of matching talent to what your style of coaching is?
I think we're getting closer, you know. I'll have a much better gauge of where we are at the end of spring. But from day one, when I took this job, I told our football team that this is our team, and it wasn't who recruited who, you know. Our kids have bought in. The kids that haven't decided to leave, you know, and our kids have bought in. I don't have to say too much anymore about taking your hat off in the building, take your earrings out, you know, remind them to say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, be places 5 minutes early. We don't talk about that too much anymore. And you know, they know. They're already out there throwing 7-on-7 on their own twice a week. Actually, I found out they were back in there again on Sunday. I mean, they're hungry, but that's what we want. And the culture's changed. It's okay. It's okay to work hard. I think at one time the perception was it wasn't cool to work hard. You know, the good ones work hard. The good ones take care of their body like it's a business.
Eric, what would you give yourself grade-wise on this recruiting class? I mean, obviously you don't get every player you go after, but where do you think this ranks?
I mean, you know, you guys are in the grades.
Yeah.
Dr. Anderson, they didn't know I wasn't a very good student today. You know, I would say, you know, we had 3 guys on campus that didn't sign with us. So out of 29, 3 guys that we offered a scholarship to didn't sign. So that's a pretty high percentage. And that's because we have a great environment. You know, parents walk into Cafe Capri and they just can't believe the warmth and the feeling that they get, even when they walk to the restroom with the people that they interact with. You know, it's not just, it's everybody. This is a great place. I know people want to continue to put it down, but I mean, this is a great place we have here. People aren't like this everywhere. You know, people aren't, I mean, people in this community don't judge you all the time about what kind of car you have or what kind of purse you have. My wife has an Under Armour purse, you know, a little back sack. You know, they don't judge you on that. They judge you for what kind of person you are, and that's what's great.